number 17 through 19. At the same time that Madison and Frank open their accounts, another friend, Casey, opens a savings account at a different bank. Casey's deposit is $12,000 at an annual compound interest rate of 4%. How does Casey's situation change the function? Write a new function, K of T, to represent Casey's account balance at any year T. Well, Casey's deposit, one, is different. Is it higher or less than Frank and Madison's deposit, who was initially the same? Her deposit is higher, but her interest rate is lower than the other two. So Casey has a higher initial deposit, but a lower interest rate. Casey's equation should be K of T equals 12,000 times 1.04 raised to the T power. Critique the reasoning of others. Casey believes that since she started her account with more money than Madison or Frank, she will always have more money in her account than either of them, even though her interest rate is lower. Is Casey correct in justify your response using a table, graph, or both? I'm actually going to look at the graph of these three, and I'm actually going to put it on my calculator. We have 10,000 times 1.05 to the x power. That's going to represent Madison, right? Then we have 10,000 times 1.06 to the x power. That represents Frank. And then the last one, is 12,000 times 1.04 to the x power. And this is going to represent Casey on the bottom here. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but my lines are going to be 3 different colors when I go to graph these, but I definitely need to change the window. My X should be from 0. I'm going to go to about year 25, and I'm going to count by ones. But I obviously know that my Y's need to go from 0, we'll say to about 25,000, and we're going to count by 5,000, sorry. Now, this first graph that's coming in, this is going to be Madison. That was my first initial graph. And then there's a red line coming in. We had a red line come in right here. Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to write on my calculator. This red line right here, that's going to be Frank's. Now, notice how Casey, she's this black line. She starts higher than the other two, but at some point, Frank passes her. And then right here towards the end, might need to go up higher on my Y's. Let's see what happens if I do that. Let's go up to 30,000 here. Let's see if we can see if Madison ever crosses the line. So here, that was Madison. Here comes Frank. And here comes Casey's. Casey's is going to be this line coming across this way. And notice that the other two eventually get higher than her. So Casey is incorrect. Frank, I'm going to show you something. If you press second trace, see where it says calculate? I want to find out where those two lines intersect. So I'm going to go down to option 5. And I am going to be looking at, my first curve is actually going to be, see how it's changing the lines at the top? I want to see where Frank and Casey cross. So Frank is 2, Casey is 3. So my first curve is going to be line 2. My second curve is going to be line 3. And it says that at about year 10, the two amounts are the same value. So Frank passes Casey in year 10. Because in year 9, they still would have been the same because it wasn't until about 9.5. So at the end of the 10th year. Let's take a look at the other two. I want to see where Madison and Casey actually pass each other. So we'll look for their intersection. So I'm going to look at Madison, which was 1, and Casey was 3. Madison passes Casey in year 20 because it was 19 point. So not at the end of the 19th year, but at the end of the 20th year, she has passed up the amount of money in Casey's account. Let's take a look at number 19. Over a long period of time, does the initial deposit or the interest rate have a greater effect on the amount of money in the account that has interest compounded yearly? And explain your reasoning. So does the deposit initially outweigh in the end, or is the interest rate eventually overtake it? As we can see with the ones that we have graphed, the interest rate eventually overtakes the initial deposit. The higher interest rate has a greater effect in the long run. Initially, the bigger deposit has a better thing, because as you can tell, it wasn't until year 10 that even Frank surpassed the amount of money in Casey's account. All right, make sure you get all that copied down, and we'll move on to the next set of questions.